views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Coming up on this edition of Perspectives, achieving meaningful gains in our community through sports and STEM, also known as STEAM, that's STEM education, while integrating the arts and virtual sports. Stay with us. We want to share you an initiative that's offering technology camp to students right here in the Bronx to learn coding and robotics and to inspire them in careers of the future. Want you to stay with us. Perspectives with yours truly, Daren Jaime, starts right now.
What's on your mind? Express what's on your mind. What's on your mind?
Anything relevant to life, you bring it to the table. Whether you make a move solo or a movement with a stable. No fables, just speak on your decisions. Cause in the long run, it's your voice, your views, your vision. Keeping it real with many messages for you to know. This ain't radio, but DJ runs the show. Entertainment, he rocks it. Politics, he locks it. The host with the most would handle any topic. Don't forget to share your perspective with shines of light. Cause it might make a difference in someone else's life.
Make a difference in someone's life. Express what's in your heart and your mind. Share your perspective.
What's your perspective? Let them know.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Perspectives. I am Daren Jaime, and of course, we thank you for joining us. As always, you can watch Perspectives on BronxNet Channel 67. Also, you have the opportunity to stay connected to us on the web at bronxnet.org. And don't forget about social media. If you're hitting us on social media at BronxNet, it's BronxNet TV. If you're looking for me personally, my professional page is Daren C. Jaime on Facebook, DC Jaime 23 on Instagram and Twitter. I should say there you should be able to get, well, information as well as inspiration. But look, coming up on today's show, very excited, got some great guests and a very good topic to talk about. According to a 2018 Pew Research article, Blacks and Hispanics are underrepresented in the STEM workforce as well as, science, technology, engineering, math. That's what STEM is all about. Relative to their presence in the overall workforce, Blacks, yes, underrepresented. Our next guest, hoping to have an impact right here in the borough of the Bronx. And we've got two very special guests. First, we got Miss Niesha Butler, and she's no stranger to us here on Perspective. She's got an extensive career in sports. She played professionally in the WNBA as well as overseas, was a sideline reporter for the Atlanta Hawks. Her love for sports and her passion for the STEAMs lead her to establish Ballin Technology, a not-for-profit that connects sports and technology for student athletes. Also joining us on today's show, we've got radio TV host Big Tigger. He is the host of the iconic Rap City and currently works, at Atlanta's V103 radio station as the host of the morning show. Big Tigger grew up in the Bronx, Co-op City, and so it's no surprise that he plays a role in this initiative. We're glad to have them both here on Perspectives, and family, glad to have you back.
What's happening?
Hey, enjoying. And Niesha, I'm going to start with you because, you got this great initiative. Let's talk about this. As I talked about in the intro, Blacks and Hispanics, when it comes to STEM, really are underrepresented. But you said you want to bridge that gap. So talk to me about this.
Yeah, I did a SWOT analysis on the Bronx, my old neighborhood, because there was two different Bronxes. One is the Riverdale area where I went to school, where it's known for Horace Mann, Riverdale, and Fieldston. And the other Bronx is pretty much everywhere else. And it's really interesting because we have talent. This is where I grew up. This is where Tigger grew up. But the access to affordable STEM education really is nil in this area. Because if you think about it, classes for a coding class could range up between $50 and $70 for one class, or $750 for a week of camp. So I really wanted to do something about it, because when I personally found out that in the next 10, which is relatively soon, next 10 to 15 years, the careers which are majority held by us, women and men of color, and of course, Black and brown communities, that's going to be obsolete. And the thing that's going to take over, many of their things are going to be taken over by technology. So why not equip these young kids that will be the labor force to have these skills, to not necessarily to have more options. So that's what this whole initiative is about, because I think, it has to start hands on the ground, because you can't wait to your like 20s or 30s to then figure out, because you have to build the foundation of sequential thinking, understanding algorithms, understanding how things work so that you have more opportunities.
Yeah, Tig, I want to talk to you about this because when you talk about really having the opportunity as a young person, growing up, they were there, but then again, they really weren't there. But when it comes to the issue of like technology and engineering and stuff like that, we know we're way behind.
Yeah, as a product of IS 180 and Truman High School, there are opportunities, but they're limited. As a student, if you're not super motivated, you might miss out on both of them, a bunch of them rather. So me having an opportunity to provide an additional opportunity for students in the Bronx, a borough I grew up in, felt good. I mean, and knowing Niesha as long as I've done, I know she does good work. So I thought it was something that not only would be impactful, but important.
Yeah, important. So talk about how it works.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I was saying, my bad. Niesha, I was saying, so talk to us a little bit about how the camp works.
Okay, so essentially we have robots and they cost money. We need teachers and that costs money. So we were giving free camps, but it was limited and they sold out quick. So that's when I had to, reel in some of my friends who understand education and actually could make it cool, right? So I think Tigger was a perfect inspiration and role model for these kids because the parents know him. These kids are like 9 and 10. He can rap. He's cool. He's on TV. Like, it was really special to see that there's somebody who came from where they came from and is doing extraordinary things like he is, and also like supports not only playing basketball or singing or rapping, but actually having a career in STEM. So what we did was we said, okay, let's have a week camp where it's an initiative of introduction. So we teach them, we bring them through the whole spectrum of seeing, getting them block coding to intro to Java. And then Tig so generously, in addition to alumni from Truman, also help with actually each kid will have their own robot to tinker with. So they'll be learning engineering principles. They'll be learning how to program that robot. And it's really great to get them interested and having the skills that whatever they want to do, if we expand the program, if we continue this, they at least understand that they can do it. So that's how it's working.
Yeah, Big, talk to me a little bit about the digital world, because when we talk about this, there's a huge digital divide. And, you grew up in the hood, that sometimes we're the last to really receive some stuff. Talk to me about that digital divide and what you found out, and particularly like with COVID, because, COVID definitely showed there's even more of that divide.
Well, the digital divide is like a real thing, people, growing up, I ain't had no computer. And haven't, been in many cities as well as my own, and you get to our neighborhoods, it's just not, the resources aren't the same. And that's really what the digital divide is about, access to resources. Whether or not you have a computer in the home, whether you have a tablet in the home. Most everybody has a phone, whether or not they're smartphones, another conversation. But having an opportunity to learn or to expand on your learning through the internet and things like that, or with the help of the internet, is what the digital divide is either helping or not helping certain people. When the pandemic hit, there had to be lots of people went through great struggles to try to even just send their kids to school. And then, like the Board of Education and different areas had to help close that divide, and other people had to get involved and make sure that there was access to tablets for families that didn't have them, access to computers or laptops that didn't have them. So, I mean, it's been something that's been growing. It's still along the socioeconomic division that has existed in our communities in general. It's just made more relevant, more prevalent by, when you start talking about, technology and the interest in technology. We don't usually see that. We don't usually have exposure to those people in those fields in the neighborhood. We're exposed to mostly blue collar people, or people, if someone in our family isn't STEM, we don't know nothing about STEM unless a teacher says it. So that's another a struggle with trying to get young people involved and encouraged to be a part of STEM, I was like a cool nerd in school, so
Huh.
STEM was I was good at math. I was the math part of STEM, math gang.
I didn't do math well. You know, if you ask me to do it today, I can do it, but it's not my strength. I know all about that. But if I know, I call on you to help me out. Look, we're going to take a quick break. After the break, I want to talk a little bit about how not just talk about STEM, but adding that A in STEM, creating STEAM, talking about the arts. We're going to talk about that when we return right here on Perspectives with yours truly, Daren Jaime. We're back here on Perspectives. Daren Jaime here with you. Our guests, Niesha Butler and Big Tig, talking about, listen, kids having the opportunity to have STEM. And as I talked about before the break, STEAM. And Niesha, I'll bring you in on this one here because a part of what you wanted to do was really deal with the issue of STEM and knowing that in communities of color, we're underrepresented. But then you added the A component and it deals with the arts. And so why did you decide to bring arts into your STEM component?
Well, I mean, you think about like a job like Big Tigger, it's definitely something that people aspire to do, but it actually has a digital component to it. So as a developer, that's not the only option a kid has to take a path in engineering or technology field. So the arts, I really thought to kind of incorporate that in because essentially that's already in our community. There are more people who want to be entertainers or want to be artists or creative. I mean, we run the culture pretty much in America. So I think that is a way, in addition to sports, which I kind of just group it up together, how we can hook the kids and probably just add to the narrative that like NFT right now, it's a digital form of art, you know, and that's something that a kid should understand growing up. If they want to be an artist, they're probably not going to sell their artists right now at Sotheby's. They're probably going to deal something with NFT. So just having the bridge the gap between the things that are typically supported and are aware of in our community to kind of just make people and the kids understand that they mesh together. So that was a whole goal with that.
Yeah. So what does it mean to have the opportunity to have arts available? Because for now, you look at schools, the first thing that gets cut out. I mean, you know, you came out of New York City public school system. There was arts back in the day. But now we look around and we see it's the first thing on the chopping block.
Well, I think it's important. The arts are always important, especially to people of color. We're passionate about it. It's kind of ingrained in how we're raised, music in particularly. Then you get to the acting and you know, film and all the rest of that stuff. But music in particular is something that we do as a people, something that we love as a people. So art should, you know, I don't see a happy world without arts. So it should be included. And all of the arts, like Niesha said, are so technologically enhanced and involved these days. Like even when I first started doing radio and television, the technology that when I started is now obsolete. I had to evolve with the technology to learn new technology. There's new ways of doing it. Lots of them easier than they used to be. The fact that we're having this conversation right now is a testament to that, the way that we're having it. So, I mean, the arts are just also important. It's just sometimes there's the education aspect of your education, like what you're learning and what you plan to be. And then the arts kind of help feed your soul. So I think it's kind of cool that this program covers both of them.
Yeah. And the kids are enjoying it. Niesha, we talked a little bit right before we went on camera, talking about you actually have kids who want homework.
Yes, I this is the first time
in the summer, right?
Yeah, it's the first time of all the camps we've done this summer that a kid, and I have to give her a shout out. She's a 12-year-old kid, Sharnima. She was so bright and so eager, and her mother. So they had to apply to a scholarship, and one of the reasons why Tigger and I picked these specific kids was because their application stood out. And I reread her application yesterday because I was like, "Who's this kid? Like, she's bright." And the mom specifically stated that it was only due to economic reasons why she wasn't able to afford a STEM camp for a kid that asked about it. She easily picked it up. This was her first coding class. She literally, was the star of the class, and she wanted more. They had me saying the class is an hour and a half. I was there for 2 hours just working through problems with the kids. And she was like, "Okay, Miss Niesha, is there homework for, tomorrow?" And I was just so blown away by that. I was like, man, this kid is on. And it was her first class, and she was a girl in STEM. And we all know that this is the problem. This is the area that we need to go after. So I was impressed. I was really impressed.
Yeah. So talk to me about how the partnership actually came about between the both of you.
Niesha harassed me. I'm just playing.
He's not lying. He's not lying.
She reached out. She said 3 things. She said kids. She said education. She said the Bronx, and I was like, I'm in.
That's it.
Really kind of how it happened. Finding a way to get back to kids is always something I'm always interested in doing. And I don't get to make it home to Section 4 or Gun Hill Road or White Plains Road like I used to. So when I get an opportunity to get back to the Bronx, I have no problem doing that.
Yeah. And that's awesome. Niesha, talk to me. That's all you said? 3 things? Come on now.
People like Tig, they accomplish a lot, and they're an inspiration because they do a lot. But I've known he has a foundation that he does. He's around education, but health areas. Like, he is one of those people that has tried to, in addition to his career, give back. So I think that's important to, team up with people like this that can encourage, can bring light to it. Just his presence alone helped us get in contact with other Truman alumni that are actually in STEM. For example, a doctor reached out to actually help. So that's kind of how it is. And I think in any nonprofit or anything you're doing that's passionate, there's a point where you have an idea, and there's a point where you need a team and you need advocates around you in order to take it to the next level, to really give these kids more opportunity. Because at the present, we only could do 15. And there were 50 some odd applicants within like a week. It was like 3 days. We got that. So I just think, I thank you guys for having us on. And I thank Tigger for definitely being at the forefront of this, of getting people involved, because STEM, let's be honest, it's not a sexy thing. Like, it's, in Atlanta, it started to get top. There's like a Black STEM movement out there. We just got to make sure New York catches up, because this is home for me too. So that's right. Basically where we're at.
Let me take a quick break. Talking about Atlanta, talking about New York. We all have commonalities here. Listen, we'll be right back right here in Perspectives. Back here on Perspectives, Daren Jaime, our guests, Niesha Butler and Big Tigger, talking about STEM right in the borough of the Bronx, bringing it access to resources. And listen, it's a great program. Kids are actually taking part, being transformed. And that's really what it's about, really helping out and giving back. And I want to give a shout out to Big Tigger, of course, for all his years that we watched him, right here on television. And now to have the opportunity to see him in another way, give back in the community. And then also for Niesha as well, who's been a guest here on our show. They're taking the bull by the horns and giving back. And it's not about where you get to. It's also about who you help along the way. So really big shout out to both of y'all for making this happen. I guess the big question I got for you both is, now that you got this ball rolling, like, where do we go from here?
Yeah, I think at this point in time, so now we know that the interest is there. We know that the kids want to do it. It's how we expand it and get this open to more kids. So I just encourage anybody who wants to donate to go to ballintechnology.org and donate, and also reach out to me if you want to do an interview, any people of color who are in STEM fields, so that we are an inspiration to them, to the kids that we teach. So yeah, guys, it's one of the things we just started. We're literally a month and a half old, and we've already sold, been involved with about 150 kids through the STEM camps, with 100 Black men, with Tigger STEM initiative, with the Bronx chapter school that's close in Co-op City, in 1 month and a half. So we have the kids. We need to get the funds, and that's on me. So anybody that can help, definitely please reach out so we can take this to the next level.
Yeah. Big Tigger, tell people what you're doing these days. I mean, obviously we see you here with us, but what's going on, man?
Besides trying to help Niesha get all of these kids through a STEM program, I'm currently hosting a morning show in Atlanta on V103, Big Tigger Morning Show, along with Miss Basketball and Tyler Chronicles, Monday through Friday, 6 to 10 a.m. If you're not in Atlanta, you can download the Odyssey, AUDACY app, and listen to us no matter where you go. Take a Tigger with you is what I say. Take a Tig with you. I am also, what else am I doing? I am the official DJ in-game host for the Atlanta Hawks. And this time, Friday, I'll also be an official in-game host / DJ for the Falcons.
That's dope. That's dope.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations, brother.
Thanks. And I have a new TV show on Revolt that just started last Friday. It's called Off Time. If you miss Rap City, it'll give you some of what you're missing, not everything, but this is going to help me get us back to what we want to see. But it's called Off Top. Rap City is my co-host. The artist Rap City is my co-host. And last week we had Conway. This week we have G Herbo. But it's it's really good conversation and a performance piece every week. Dope.
Niesha, for people who don't know what else you're doing outside of this, because I know this has got you ultra consumed.
Yeah.
I can feel you pull your hair out.
Of course I have, I'm a startup founder, so we start up things all the time. So we do have a scrapsports.com. That's something that's a passion of mine, but with no sports getting involved, that's kind of taking a back seat. No, what I am launching is Ballin Bots, which is going to be a robotics company where we're creating my own signature robot that does sports activities. For example, like throw a ball through a hoop, kick a soccer ball, or hit a tennis ball. And the idea is that this Ballin Bots would be an own robot where kids can actually make all those kinds of things in one robot. That's affordable. So one of the problems that we had is that I had a robotics team last year, and each robot cost between $500 and $600. That's just too much. So the idea with my new company, that is a for-profit company, we're going to build out a robot that's affordable, and it has different kind of sports features for the kids to use. So I'm really excited about that. That's going to be launching in the next couple of weeks. We're working on a prototype. So yeah, it's Ballin Technology to get these kids educated, and then Ballin Bots, my own company, to actually give them physical things that I don't have to buy another person's robot. It can be my own. So
yeah. I mean, when you think about it, really putting kids in this kind of position really is a great feeling, because the lack of opportunity coming up. And just share with me before we go, like, what was it like for you growing up? And I'll start with Big Tigger. Talk to me about what was it like coming through the Bronx.
I mean, we didn't have it. We wasn't the we definitely wasn't the Ballin family in the neighborhood. We weren't we definitely weren't the brokest either. My father worked very hard. He worked mass transit. He drove the 2 train, 5 train, 6 train. And, you know, he did his best to give, you know, me the best opportunities possible. But I mean, growing up in the Bronx was an invaluable experience. Lots of things you learned in school and lots of things you learned on the block. So I, you know, eternally grateful for the friends, experiences, and everything I did learn growing up in the Bronx. I wouldn't trade them for anything. And that's why an opportunity to give back to kids growing up in similar circumstances who have a thirst for knowledge and education, just to give them and offer them an opportunity was such a win-win for me.
Yeah. Niesha, you get the final word. Got about a minute left. You get the final word, girl.
No, I also think it's important that I completely grew up completely different. Riverdale Country School, 1 year is $75,000.
He's shaking his head like, yeah, completely different.
Way different.
Totally different.
It's you know, $75,000 a year for 1 year of high school. But my dad, my mom and my dad made it really an effort for me. But I played basketball in the Bronx at Gauchos, so I went from our school, that was a campus that was $75,000 a year, which I had robotics. I was doing coding classes at 12 years old, which was a long time ago. And then I was taking the train, and I had to walk a couple of blocks, and I saw that neighborhood to get to my practice in the Bronx in Gauchos. You know, so I have a mixture of things where I know what education can afford you. I know what entrepreneurship looks like. I know what it is, but I'm also aware that there are kids in the hood that don't have these opportunities, that just are smart or smarter. That's the, you know, just as smarter. And you know, I just was blessed, and I'm aware of that. It was a privilege for me to go to these schools and have access. But I think my job and my job with people like me is to take one back, you know, take one with me, what I have, and just share my knowledge. So yeah, I think it's really cool that Tigger and I, you know, from different, more or less, yeah, I was a girl in the neighborhood that, you know, my parents, you saw me but didn't see me, like it was that kind of stuff. But we all can be in the sense that we want to get these kids to get our national average of income, of wealth in this country higher. And how do we do that? It can be through arts, it can be through education, it can be through entrepreneurship, but we need to equip our kids. So that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I appreciate you both. And I think there's some great work, and definitely there's a lot of ways to give back, but to give back in this area of science, technology, you know, engineering and math is dope. And so want to thank you, congratulate you for the work that you guys are doing. Certainly let me know as the camp continues to grow and you continue to expand. Come on back. Big Tigger, you know you always got the open invitation too. Welcome, fam. Good to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for sharing with us here on Perspectives.
Already.
Bye.
All right, listen, I'm Daren Jaime. Listen, what you saw today was just that. You saw the opportunity to see where people can grow, to become, and then not forget where you come from. And that's our responsibility. No matter where you come from, we have a responsibility to give back, to help somebody else, because I don't care where we are on the ladder, we all stand on somebody else's shoulders. Listen, I'm Daren Jaime. That's my perspective. Make sure you share your perspective with somebody else. Just might make a difference in somebody else's life. See you next week.
Whether you make a move solo or a movement with a stable. No fables, just speak on your decisions. Cause in the long run, it's your voice, your views, your vision. Keeping it real with many messages for you to know. This ain't radio, but DJ runs the show. Entertainment, he rocks it. Politics, he locks it. The host with the most would handle any topic. Don't forget to share your perspective, which shines a light. Cause